Yo, what's up, guys? We are back. Beat Brothers are back. Episode 3. We are live right now. And yo, how you feeling,
I'm feeling
Plex?
good, man. I'm doing
Yeah,
good. How about you?
feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. We are on our third episode, and
Yes.
we're making progress.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah,
Now I just got to get better at making videos in the weekdays.
yeah. No, I feel you on that. So this week we're kind of discussing what are we discussing, Marsh?
Well, basically, you know, I have just been recently, you know, getting into modular, which means I've been buying some things. And that's good and all, but at the same time, going down that road is a very precarious road to go down, I've found.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a term called Eurocrack, and I,
Yes.
I may have been bitten by that bug.
Euro crack, yes. So it's like a drug addict, right? It's kind of like the whole reference, right?
Totally.
Yeah. How are you feeling about Eurorack so far? So, like, your thoughts?
Oh man, it's awesome and challenging and exciting. And I don't know, I haven't been able to do all the things, like just the basics of all the things I want to do, so it's very much a learning experience for me right now. And if it wasn't so distracting, I probably would have made my first beat with it by now, but
Mm.
I'm still trying to make it do things that I'm can't wait to try to, I'm like excited to explore. And so I almost get sunk into this void of like trying new things instead of making music, which is kind of
Mm.
related to what we're talking about today.
Right. Right. So if you guys haven't already, from the title of this video or whatever, so we want to help kind of dial in a mindset that keeps you from getting caught up in gear lust. So like, just buying stuff, buying this, that, and making music, like breaking free from gear lust, buying the latest and the greatest, even I don't, whatever it may be, a compressor or, whatever, a VST, even downloading free stuff, like just staying away from all that and just
Mhm.
making music with what you have. So that's what this episode is about. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to hash this out, man. So, I know you got a couple ideas, Marsh. I know you got a couple things that you've been thinking about, to keep people away from getting caught up in the gear lust. Cause right now, you are in the midst of an addiction. You, you this is Eurocrack, baby. You're like full steam. Like, and I know I already know you have experienced a little bit of it because you've already been talking about, man, this module and that module, you know what I mean? And there's so many, it's like a candy store out there. Like when it comes to Eurorack, it's just like endless, right?
It is. My two favorite websites right now are Instagram and Reverb, and they both support my Eurorack addiction.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I've been down that whole rabbit hole myself. This is my second. So I don't know if you guys can see that back there. That Eurorack, that's what, uh, 10 HP, 10, 8, or I'm sorry, 10U. Um, so yeah, I've been down that whole rabbit hole. And so I know where you're at right now.
How
It
many
is,
HP is that? I don't remember from when you
it's 104, 104. Yeah.
104.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
104 HP. Yep. So anyway, this episode is dedicated to helping you be more creative without getting caught up in the whirlwind of buying new stuff.
Yeah, man. And so like you mentioned that this is your second round at the modular stuff, but there's other stuff you've gotten to in the past too. Like I'd like to hear a little bit about like what you know have you like before we get to the solution, it's we got to explain the problem,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
you know,
Good stuff.
the
Yeah,
tap in the
yeah,
veins and stuff.
sure.
Like,
Yep.
what was it like, man? Like, in the past with you getting into modular, and I mean, has this been something that you've been dealing with your whole life, or have you been pretty good at, staying away from the gear addiction and getting to the music, or how's that relationship been for you?
It's funny because I'm the type of person I want to make music. Like it's not about just buying the latest and the greatest. It's not about you know getting gear in any sense. So but when it came to Eurorack, it definitely presented a problem for sure. Because like I mentioned earlier, there's so many dope options out there, right? And uh, you know, I've always been the type of person that I want to make music, you know, and that's been like the forefront of what I'm doing. But when it comes to Eurorack, I can definitely say it definitely threw me off kilter, you know, um, just because there's so many flavors out there. It's like being in a candy store. It really is. It's just man, you have so many options, you know.
So yeah, totally. So like I think one of the things, this is like when I was looking up the Eurorack stuff, like the main um kind of advice that people would give
Sure.
is know what you want out of it first before you create it.
Mm,
Um, Now we could talk about that because I have some thoughts on just that one piece of advice. But um, you did on your first go around, and maybe even on your second go around, did you have a specific goal of what you wanted your Eurorack to be, and did that help you to choose what you chose, or?
Well, on my first go around, I was hitting up people, and this was like probably like 5 or 6 years ago. There wasn't a lot of people that kind of knew where I was coming from as like a beat perspective. You know, I wanted to have beat driven modular music. You
Mhm.
know, there wasn't many people to talk to. There was Shiro. Shout out to Voltage Controller. I know you know Voltage Controller as
Yeah, I
well, but
love this stuff.
yeah, shout out to him. But he was like the only guy that I knew. So anyway, it was really kind of like like me trying to figure things out. I didn't have a clear perspective. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was trying to figure out what to do first. Also, shout out to Peth. I don't know if you know Peth, Peth.com, Peff.com. If you guys don't know Peth, you're seriously tripping. Like Peth is a beast. So he
Wait,
helped me a lot in the beginning. You know, he's a completely different musician. He's like on the Buchla stuff. And he's on a completely different vibe. He's not like a beat driven musician, but he's a monster. And he helped me a lot in the beginning to kind of figure out where I was going. So I give a huge shout out to him. But yeah, I didn't know what I was doing, man. And that's the thing. It's like when you're even for someone that's just getting into music, like they only have a laptop. And I got this question from my a friend of mine the other day. They asked me. They said, "Hey, I want to start making music. Where should I start?" And it's crazy, but that's a crazy question. But if you have a laptop, man, the floodgates are open. Like you, even just having a laptop presents like a huge chasm of options. You know what I mean?
or an iPad.
Yeah, or an iPad. So the options are really limitless. Out there. So um, having somebody to help you get a sense of what you're doing is super resourceful. It's super handy. You know what I mean? These days, if you're like the type of person that just is trying to get started on making music, like the it's crazy the options that you have at your fingertips, even just with a laptop. So we're not even talking about Eurorack, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to those guys that helped me. Voltage Controller, Peth, man, they were instrumental in helping me like figure out the grassroots of this whole modular thing, man, and to get me to where I'm at today. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm pretty darn lucky myself. Like you had, it was hard for you to find some people, but for me, like I immediately knew who used modular because I've known you for a while before I even got into it. And
Yeah.
every time I'm curious about, maybe I will get into modular, I'm like, hey Bryce, how you doing?
Right.
And then this time it actually happened. I actually had, enough funds to at least get started.
Right.
So I don't know. It's I like what you said though about like well, I think it's interesting what you said. I don't know if I like this or not, but like I think it's interesting that you said like when you have a laptop, or I would say also an iPad or some kind of tablet, it's like limitless. You have endless possibilities. And with modular, you kind of do too, except for there's this like money problem. But
that's a big problem. Yeah.
Even with laptops and iPads, there is a money problem, but it's not as crazy. But that being said, the thing is, I mean, when you first got your first modular, like you had kind of a goal. You wanted to do something with it. You didn't get into it because you wanted to buy more gear. Like nobody wants to just buy more gear to buy more gear.
For sure.
So, that's the problem is like creativity is actually a lot of times birthed or kind of set aflame by limitations. Actually, limitations are actually really good for creativity, from my experience at least. That's why I'm getting into like minimal beats and stuff,
right?
Because that helps me to create. Whereas when I have too many options, I just get lost in like learning more about this app, trying to figure out how to do this with modular. How can I go into music theory? Like all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff is limitless, and I'll never make music if I explore the whole thing. I'm never going to know all the stuff and have all the gear, and then I'm ready to make music. By then, I won't want to make music anymore. I want to like scrap it all and go like get into woodworking or something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever been in a situation where like you were more limited, but you were actually more productive?
Oh man. Unfortunately, I can't really say that I've been in that I've never had that angle. And it kind of addresses this whole topic that we're talking about. It's like, that's an aspect of things, like, just being limited by what you have to be more creative. The journey of modular, and I think just trying to be moving from, and I know we discussed this last week, but moving from being a sample based producer to more of a creative producer, instrumentalist, making your own stuff. That whole journey, it requires buying things, and it's one of those things where you're just like, will this make me more creative? Okay, let me grab this. Will this make me more creative? Let me grab that. And you can quickly get caught up in that rather than making music. So it's a perplexing thing, and it kind of sucks in a way, but like, people like you and I are here to kind of help people dial it in and say, hey, you don't need to go down that road. Just like use what you have, kind of thing, and dial that in, and like don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, and speaking on that, like you and I have talked about a lot where we really want our channel, our YouTube channel, even our Instagram presence. I got Instagram Live going. How you guys doing? Even that kind of stuff. Like, we want to be the type of people or the type of content creators, I guess, that actually kind of encourages people or inspires people to make things,
Absolutely.
not so much to focus on what you have or don't have,
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
As I've been looking into this modular stuff, I've been, trying to take in some content on making stuff, and a lot of the modular YouTube videos are focused on gear, but that's also what I'm looking for because I'm trying to learn the gear. So
Sure. Absolutely.
I found things like Mylar Melodies has the Why We Bleep podcast, which I think is great. It kind of is a deep dive into the actual making of this stuff.
Right.
And one of the themes I keep hearing on that podcast is like, use what you have, like, and learn your actual gear that you have. Like, have you gotten the most out of your gear yet? Like, don't buy a new thing if you don't even know how to make a synth voice like myself. Like, I'm just learning how to make a basic synth voice. Like, and there was this one person, I can't remember who exactly it was, but they were talking about how, like, sometimes people will buy like, a fully made modular system.
Sure.
And a few weeks later, they'll bring it back or want to, get a refund because they're like frustrated or whatever, but they haven't even given it a good shot to try to actually make something with it. Like, it's like they tried to, patch a few things and push, dial a few buttons or whatever, and it didn't make the sound they wanted,
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to dive in on this because I know you've been, like, right now you're in the midst of building a modular synth, and the difficulty in that, learning all that stuff, it takes time. You have to really dive in, and that's something you can speak upon with firsthand experience. You have to learn what you have. You know what I mean? If you don't, you're not going to be able to use it. And I know modular for you is something you really want to get into, and that whole process for you has been challenging. There's been ups and downs. There's been times
already.
where there's been times where you're like, man, this is so frustrating. Like, I hate this. This sucks, and that's the whole thing of it, learning what you have, learning your gear. Right. So I know this episode is kind of dedicated to that. Like, not getting caught up in gear lust and learning to use what you have. So I know we have a couple points we want to touch on in this episode. So what would be your first recommendation for somebody just not even associated with modular, but just in general? Like, if you want to get started making music, you have a laptop, and you have a couple plugins, you have a couple programs or whatever. Like, what would be one of your first recommendations for someone?
Well,
to stay away from getting caught up in the the whole gear lust thing. So that's what we're talking about, really.
Yeah. Now this is something interesting because, like, I think there's different kinds of creators. There's some creators who are happy to just, like, play with music. They're not even trying to necessarily make an album. Like, they just love music. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great thing. Like, like that dude who, like, is just always playing guitar. You go to a campfire with the dude and he's playing guitar, or whatever you're doing. Like, he just wants to, play for friends, and that's kind of feels his or her thing, but then there's also, obviously, the people who want to make stuff with it, and you might be somewhere in a range between that. You might have big, music goals. You might just have small music goals. For me,
Sure.
I feel like I feel like I'm definitely a mixture of that. Like
Okay.
I want to just make for the sake of making, but I also to the point where I want to make a living making music as
Sure.
well. So
Yeah.
so it's both in there. So for me, I feel like no matter what you have, like I like to me being kind of productive. I'm trying to think of the other word for that, like being productive. There's another
Uh,
like prolific.
Prolific.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing, or just producing something is
Right.
really important to me. Like if I'm
Sure.
not putting new beats out every week, or
Absolutely.
whatever art or whatever it is every
Yep.
week, for
Yeah.
me personally, it bothers me. Like same thing with
Yes.
YouTube videos. Like if I'm not connecting with people every week on YouTube,
Yep.
this is part of who I am now. I've been doing this for a long time. You know,
Yeah,
it's
man.
important to me to produce specific things. So I'll start feeling that like that itch. I'll start feeling like something's not right. I'll get depressed, because I'm like I'm not to me, I'm not fulfilling my like role in this world, like we haven't talked too much, and we probably won't. This isn't this YouTube channel isn't about faith, but faith is a big part of my life, and I think you
Sure.
would say the same thing. And
Yeah.
to me, I feel like we're all here for a purpose, and I don't think I'm God's gift to like music or art or anything. I just feel
Yeah.
like this is kind of what I've always known I wanted to do, and I feel like it's what I'm supposed to do. So if I'm not doing it, it
Mhm.
bothers me.
Can I let me jump in here real quick, because it sounds like what you're saying is you being a creative person and sharing that gift of creativity is a huge part of like staying away from buying stuff. Like it just it keeps you from that. That's what it sounds like you're saying, which is super dope. Like I connect with that. Like I'm connecting with what you're saying right now. Like just being a creative person, man, expressing yourself through your art and what you do is a huge part that keeps you. I mean, obviously, we're talking about not getting caught up in gear lust here, right? So that's a huge thing that just keeps you just producing music, right? That's what this is all about, right?
Yeah, it's huge for me. I have to be producing. And there has been times, I mean, even like you said, like it doesn't have to be modular. Before I had the modular, I had the iPad. You can do
Yeah,
it's insane what you can do with the iPad. But you know
man.
what? I kind of just stick with Koala, and I've been doing pretty well with that. I'm getting close to a second full finished album because of it. I mean, it's not like a fully mixed, full-fledged album. They're called beat sketches for a reason, but it's still like I'm producing something, and there's
You're
stuff on
killing it.
Instagram and all that,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. And to just reference Koala real quick, like you're killing that. You're killing that app, man. It's crazy. Like
I,
you've got people to like really dive into Koala. So, but that's a whole nother topic. So anyway,
Well, I mean, it is relevant though because Koala is, it's an amazing app, but it doesn't have close to as much things as any DAW like Beatmaker or Cubasis or Ableton. Ableton's like got everything under the sun.
right,
It doesn't have close to as many things, but that's why I feel so creative in there. It's like there's enough things to play around with, and even to use the app in ways it's not meant to be used. Like I love that. Like I like to
right.
find a way to do something. Like I can do granular synthesized basically samples in Koala. It is not meant to do that, but I can do that in there. Like it's not as good as like Clouds or something, but
Right,
I can do a version of that, and it's fun.
right. So yeah, so man, that is insane. I love it. I love that perspective. You just opened my mind to some things that I haven't really like thought about before. So I love that. And so just to kind of bounce off what you said just now, I think one of the things that I kind of my perspective on not getting caught up in gear lust and being more creative is like sometimes you just got to realize, man, like I don't need to buy something new. Like I think my term that I came up with was like, just say no. Like just say no. You know what I mean? Like, forget that. I don't need to buy anything. Like I have something I can use right now. Like, and I'm gonna jump into that and just get crazy with it. Just
Yeah.
like learn it inside and out, like dive in and just use what you have. Like just say no to people trying to sell you on new things. Like that's what YouTube is all about, man. A lot of YouTube is about promoting something new, like, and trying to get you to buy something new. And like I would say, just say no.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing is too, is the new shiny thing, that's I mean, it's the illusion, it's like, when you see that thing, you feel like you need it, but
Yeah.
the truth is you could do like, this is something that reins me in, a lot of times, is look at like a group, whatever group you like, look at like a group like the Beatles. To me, I love the Beatles. I've learned a lot from their songwriting and their experimentalism, and even from the beginning to the end of their career. It's interesting to see the evolution. Um, and what I have in my iPad is like way more sophisticated than their whole studio setup that they had.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. No kidding.
they have
No joke.
they have they had, access to talented producers and people who helped them along the way. They had the experience of going live and being creative, but they used what they had,
Right.
they were one of the first people to use a sampler, and they used it. Even they're like, oh, look at this cool thing, let's do something with it, but they
Right.
didn't use it the way
Yeah.
we use it. They did their own interesting thing with it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So my man, Why Not says, it's something you probably don't need. Like that just kind of sums it up right there. Like, when you're buying something new, it may be something you don't even need. You know what I mean? Like getting caught up in gear lust is a thing, and that's definitely an aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about the because it's crazy with modular and with iPad, because like, how many iPad apps do you have that you maybe never even used? I have a lot of them.
Man. Oh man. Yeah. Yep.
I have, and with the modular, like, there's things that you might not use, and like, that's crazy because they're expensive.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No kidding. So yeah, that was kind of my first point, was like, just say no, man. Just like realize that you're being targeted, you're being marketed to. Just realize that. Like, can we just say right now, you are being marketed to? Realize that and just say, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna dive in on what I have and just forget the marketing. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was kind of my one of my points that I wanted to make right there.
Yeah, it's tough because like, it depends on where you're at, because you might actually need some things. Like,
that's true. That's true.
I've gone, all right, so like, I've been kind of working more on comic books than anything for a long time. I kind of put the halt on music for a while, but even before and even throughout, I've always still dabbled with music. But even before, I didn't really have. Personally, I like, one of my points was budget. Like, I didn't have any money, so I couldn't get gear anyways. So that kind of helped me then, and I had, I mean, still to this day, I never bought a full version of a DAW. I have the cheap version of Reason. That's what I was using a lot of times. Or,
right.
There's different things that I use. And then it was a while before I finally like hunkered down and like bought a keyboard controller. That's not even that expensive, but to me it was expensive.
Right.
I would use old things that I could find at tag sales, like a turntable or something, or, whatever. You know, and so it's like that was a limitation that I had. Now I'm not
Mhm.
rich by any means, but I have more freedom with the money that I do have.
Sure.
And to me, I do think budget is a part of it, like, because that's another problem with limitation. Like, you can get a credit card, you can have it, you can use a credit card, and hopefully if you do, you manage it well. But for me, I don't have a credit card. I'm never going to have a credit card again. I don't have any debt, which is great, but I'm not rich either, but I have some savings. So the thing is I'm seeing that savings dwindle down and dwindle down. Like, that's the end of the rainbow for me. Like, if I go too deep. So, like,
Right.
budget's a part of it too. So, if you have a limitless budget, and,
Mm.
meaning you have credit cards, and, it's like you said, the marketing could get to you, and a
Yeah.
lot of people are marketing without even knowing they're marketing, because they're just showing off their cool
Yeah.
gear that they like to use or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we'll get into a certain amount of that. Like, just you know, creative tools are dope. Like, we're not making beats here with rocks and stones. You know what I mean? So, like, at some point you have to
Although that
realize
sounds fun.
yeah. So, but at some point you have to realize it does take tools to make music, right? But getting caught up in buying the latest and the greatest, that's what we're trying to avoid here. You know what I mean? Just like being creative with what you have, like not just getting caught up in watching videos and saying, oh man, this dude's using this, so I need this. You probably don't need that. You know what I mean? Especially if you're already making music. So
Yeah.
so that was one, the what I wanted to kind of address here. So I know you had a couple other points you wanted to address as well. So as far as staying creative without getting caught up in buying the latest and the greatest. So let me hear what you got, man. What you got? What you got?
Yeah, what you got? Well, I wanted to bring up this from Will. A lot of and shout out to I Will Create, also known as Will.
Oh yeah, my man,
the
Will.
Pilot, also known
What up, Will?
as the Hip Hop Bob Ross. How you doing, man?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
go check out his channel, 'cause he's got some dope stuff, and his Instagram. So he says a lot of people do these videos just to get free shit. I don't usually swear, so that's why I hesitated.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, it's true though.
But I wanted to say something about that, because it is true. Heck, I've even tried it before with my other YouTube channel, but I just don't care that much, so I didn't do it. I never got there. But one thing I do know, because my somebody I know was really into makeup, channels and stuff like that, and they've told me that, like, a lot of these makeup gurus on YouTube, like, they've gotten to a point where they always review all these products, and they get stuff sent to them constantly, to the point where a lot of them have actually told the companies, like, stop, like, I don't want more stuff, like, I can't do this, it's too much, like, and there's like a lot of waste and stuff, like they can't even use all the stuff they get, like, so more is not necessarily better,
Dang, good point, man. Good point, man. Talk about that, bro. Talk about that right there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's not always better. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, to me, okay, so there was this guy on the Why We Bleep podcast, and I think this was that dude named Surgeon. He's like supposedly like really well known techno guy or something. He's been doing it since the beginning or something. And he was showing his studio off. Now this guy actually is a little different, because he's like got everything, like literally like anything you could possibly want, all the synths. He's got all the synths, all the modular stuff, but he's also super disciplined. And they actually asked him, do you even use all that stuff? He's like, yes, I use this stuff every day. And you can see by his album, discography is like extremely huge. Like, and so it's like, he has been doing this since he was a kid. Like his parents helped him get into Berkeley before, like at a super early age, and he's just super disciplined. And he's like, actually, yes, it looks like I have a lot of gear, but there's stations in here. There's the modular station, there's this station, there's that station. When I go to the modular, I only do this, and when I go to this station, I only do this. And he has a function for every station, and he has kind of part of his workflow, like he'll use certain stations only at certain times. So, there's a way to do it, but at the same time, I don't think most people can handle that much gear. Like, I just don't. Like, I see these people, like, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I see these people with these huge studios, and I'm sitting here and I have like, this is this is my Euro rack right here.
Yeah. No, but
I have like an iPad, and that's about it. Like,
yeah, but at the same time, like you right now showing what you have there, somebody's like, oh my goodness, I wish I had that. You know what I mean? So it's all relative, right? Or
totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. But yeah, go ahead, continue, man.
So there's nothing wrong with having that much gear. I'm not trying to like shame people who do. Like, but
right.
Check yourself. Like, are you using it? Like, hey, Will in here. Like, we got Will in here. In my opinion, for his studio is like, wow, like crazy, lots of stuff that I don't even know how to use. And
for sure.
But he's using it. Like,
for sure.
His YouTube channel and his Instagram. Like, you see him use it every single day. Like, he uses all of it. So
absolutely. And that's a really good point. Like, are you using the things you have? Right? Is pretty much what you're getting at. Yeah. It's like, man, and that's a really good point, because I know people that have massive studios. I'm thinking of my boy Corey right now. B-Boy Tech. That dude has the latest and the greatest. And he uses it though. He's the type of guy that he dives in and he gets to know the pieces of gear that he has and all of the gear that he has. And yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
But then you look at that, and then you see somebody who they saved up all their money so that they could get like a SP303, and that's like all they have. Like, and what have people done with that? A lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I watch SP303, 404, whatever, those little SP units. I watch those videos all the time because they're so close to what Koala does. They're inspiring.
Absolutely. So there's a guy I know, his name, and sorry not to cut you off. I'm sorry about that, but there's a guy I know. He goes by Moo Latte Music on IG. And this dude is so prolific. He makes so much music, and it's fire, dope stuff. If you guys don't know who he is, Moo Latte. So like a latte, like a coffee, MOO latte. He'll pull right up. Check him out. That dude is a beast. So anyway, dude has so much stuff at his fingertips, like so much stuff that he can, use. But he'll bust out a lot of his videos are just him on his SP404, just like the stuff that he's recorded into the 404. He'll just sit on a couch and work his 404. I mean, he's got guitars and just all this stuff, but he'll just use his 404, and it's like, he's a beast, man. He's just a beast. So that kind of rolls me into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was staying around people that are actually not staying around, but being connected with people that actually want to be creative and not people that want to buy stuff, because there's a difference. You can get caught up in a stream of people that just like, hey, I want to buy this, or I'm buying this, or I'm buying that, or I'm buying that. On the flip side, there are people that actually want to be creative and that are helping you to be a creative person. So like, I find like even being around like yourself, even Odd Pilot, Sean, the guys that we have in the chat that we're talking to, like, these guys are just wanting to be like creative. They're not talking about buying the latest and the greatest. So for me, like, a huge thing to stay to keep from getting caught up in buying stuff is to just be, keep yourself surrounded with people that are being creative,
Yeah.
that are, more on the creative side rather than the gear buying side. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes I specifically look for, like I've, it's funny. I could type in like the name of any module on YouTube and come up with a bunch of videos. But the minute like I type in how to actually make music with modular equipment, it's like a ghost town. And it's like, but so there's that, but I just look for people who are making music with modular, and it's really actually Instagram's a great place for that, because
Yep.
that's what you do. You kind of show it off.
Right.
Even some of your ModBap buddies, like like you mentioned, Voltage Controller, he puts out music every day. Like other
He's a
people
monster.
too, like some of the other guys too. Like it's just really dope. So like I just try to look into the music that inspires me. But yeah, it's tough. I think, and this isn't like us saying that you're bad if you're get into the gear loop, because I'm in the gear loop right now.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yes, you are.
I've been there. I'm probably going to be there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is me trying to be like, how do I keep perspective?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy because I know, I've talked to you, and outside of this, obviously, like I've seen where you're going, the frustrations, the issues that you're having, the things you want to do. There's things you want to do in Eurorack. You want to, I know you have a whole like projection of being able to, sample and do different things. And it, unfortunately, it does require buying things, but you definitely want to stay away from getting caught up in buying stuff. Like that's not what this is about, right?
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's just, you just gotta find a way to like kind of check yourself with that. And also, like, to me, I've had the modular stuff for like 2-3 weeks. I can't remember for sure, but I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have recorded sounds, I try to at least record sounds that I'm making.
Right.
But I have yet to make a beat from it, to the point where, again, referencing Will here, like he has this Discord where he posts a sample every week and you can make a beat from it. That's like the only beat I've made. And even this week, I was so obsessed with modular that the beat I made was like after work on Friday, right before the deadline, on my phone. I made a beat real quick on Koala. Props to Koala again, because freaking Koala rocks. And I made a beat on my phone and sent it in, and it got in there before the show, which was super actually fun. It was like a fun challenge. But like, it's easy to get caught up in so many things with that. And I think, part of it is having like clear musical goals, which we kind of talked about, but also another thing, kind of a hack to kind of get you out of the mode of thinking about gear and into the mode of actually making stuff. Something that's actually helped me a lot with my comics, and I can do the same thing with music, is various like art challenges and comic book challenges. Like for me, I did 100 days of making comics like multiple times. There's like Inktober and stuff, and I know right now there's January, on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if there's any other challenges like that with Instagram, or with music. But like those kind of things, I'm telling you, like if I have to make something every day for Instagram, like that'll get me out of the gear loop and into the making stuff loop,
Yeah. I wanted to highlight a couple posts here. Shiro dope. This is, our man Will. Shiro, absolutely. Shiro's a monster. So I want to say real quick about Shiro. Like Shiro is, Voltage Controller. If you don't know if you're making beats and you're like even messing around with modular, like, and you're trying to figure out like how to do this whole thing with modular and beat making, like Shiro is one of the pioneers. Absolutely. Like I got started making beats on modular like 5 or 6 years ago, and the only person I could find that was combining beat driven music with modular was Shiro. So check out Shiro, check out Voltage Controller if you don't know who he is. Okay, and also I wanted to highlight my man Why Not here. He said it's a great learning experience either way. Some gear teaches you certain techniques or ways to create sound, and you eventually realize how to do that with other gear you already have. And that's a really good point because, you don't need to buy something new. You probably don't need to buy something new. Even just getting started on the iPad with GarageBand. There's a gang of stuff in GarageBand, like literally. Like there's a lot of stuff there, and I don't want to take away from people that are, learning and learning about different things, compression, EQing, and stuff like that. There are tools that you may need to buy, but maybe you don't need to buy anything.
Mm-hmm.
so yeah. So
maybe it's a better look for you, instead of paying for gear, pay for professionals, to help you mix and master your stuff. But
yeah.
The thing is, there's like the artificial limitations. Like you can actually make up your own limitations. Like even if you have a ton of gear, you can still get that limitations breeds creativity thing going. I see there's a couple examples I want to bring up. One is Jack White from the White Stripes. He and a million other projects now. He got huge off of working on White Stripes. Now, White Stripes is a band that basically he had this idea. He was doing like reupholstering like couches and stuff. And he I don't know the process of reupholstering couches and stuff, but like there was a part where like you just kind of staple the stuff in, and he's like, something hit him where he was like, if I wanted to, like, that's all I need. Now, of course, I'm going to do more stuff to dress it up, but really to make a functioning couch or whatever it is, all I needed to do was that. And so he thought of that, and he's like, so he kind of created his band thinking that, like, he got his, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or his wife. There's all these like rumors. It's his sister. I don't know. But this girl who didn't know how to play the drums, Meg White, and she's like, he just like sat her in the chair of a drum chair, and said, play the drums. I got my guitar, sometimes my bass, sometimes the piano, and I'm going to sing. And that's it. That was the band. Even though he obviously now, after the fact, we know he has talent to do a lot of other things. He's been in bands and stuff since then. But and he basically took like the blues, the music he really like loves and stuff that inspires him, and he just made rock and roll with it. And that was it. And the girl doesn't really know how to play drums. You can hear it. Like she doesn't exactly know how to play drums, but that rawness is so great. Like I love every single one of the White Stripes albums, and I can listen to them, all of them, through the whole thing, and it's so inspiring. And then the stuff he's made after that, cool stuff and everything, but I still really go back to those albums, because those albums are the ones that are exciting and interesting, and the limitation breeds creativity is like awesome. And then the other point I wanted to make was with the challenges, you can create your own challenge. I've done this many times with comics, but with music, you can do the same thing. And one good reference point to see that is Andrew Huang. Like a lot of his videos are, hey, today I'm gonna make a beat with a bird chirping sound. Like today I'm gonna make a beat with scrambled eggs. Like whatever it is. Like to me, when a lot of times I'm approaching it with a specific formula in mind. Can I do this with this? and it's fun. It's
Yeah.
a fun way, you know, to do it.
So let me jump in right here. I just want to just encourage, challenge anybody watching this, man. Go make something with what you have right now.
Totally.
You know, go do something with what you have right now. Make something, even if it's just for this video. Just, man, pull up something that you haven't, you know, used in a while, a VST, whatever it may be, and make something with what you have right now. Also, I wanted to highlight my man, Why Not here. And this is a point you made to me as well, because I was struggling with buying a new pedal. And I was like, man, I don't want to buy this pedal. And you were like, oh, man, why are you buying a new pedal? And I was like, I want to buy this pedal. And you were like, man, well, if you're going to buy the pedal, sell something first, you know. And this is what, you know, Why Not says here. He says, you know, just take care of that gear. Just take good care of that gear and make sure you can sell it and hopefully get some money back. And that kind of touches on this whole thing. Like, if you're going to buy something new, maybe sell something, you know. And that's what you challenged me with when I was like kind of struggling with wanting to buy the pedal. And I was like, I want to buy it, but I don't want to buy it. And you were like, man, sell something. And I was like, oh snap, yeah, I guess I got to sell something, you know. So that could be something to kind of, you know, put you in perspective. Like, do you need to buy something, or can you sell something and get rid of something? Maybe sell something before you buy something new, especially when it comes to hardware, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the Eurorack, and I've been like really digging like the whole philosophy behind like minimalism as a whole in life for a while. I'm by no means like a full-on minimalist, but to a certain degree, I do take some of those things and apply it to my life. But like, I'm looking at my modular and I'm like, I have a lot of space. I actually love having a lot of space in there, but I am kind of running into the problem where I still don't have enough to do the things I want to do. So I'm trying my best, like, cause I know, like, I look at this stuff and this thing looks cool. That thing looks cool. This thing, right. Oh man, imagine what I could do with that. Like, yeah. And I'm like, I could fill that quick and go on to the next rack, like easy. I could see myself doing that. But I really would actually rather just find the things that I want and still have space, because I have ideas for that space. Actually, we've talked about it before. But I just would like to have less, you know, and be able to have that potential if I need it. But if I don't, that's cool too. And then again, like, to me right now, what I kind of need in my modular is a sampler. And I feel like you could never end at getting more LFOs, more VCAs, more oscillators. Like, all those things, you know, can help you get a better sound, you know. Sure. But I don't know how far I want to go with that, because I don't even actually want to fill the thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you can get caught up in flavors, because there are an infinite amount of flavors of different modules out there. You know, like, I mean, I have, you know, a few oscillators, and I realized that, man, there's so many options out there. Like, if you get caught up in options, you will literally buy everything, you know, which is not, you know, conducive to making music, right? So you have to, you know, keep yourself away from that, because I mean, when it comes to oscillators, literally there are tons and tons and tons of options out there. And if you don't, like, just say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I'm doing, this is my modular, like, you will literally be swapping out oscillators every week.
Well, I mean, there's a million oscillators, but there's only one square wave, one triangle wave, one sine wave. Like, I realize these oscillators do different things. I mean, rings isn't just a straight, you know, sine wave or anything. But
but you know what? Someone's always coming up with a new flavor, a new way to present this oscillator, a new way to you know, showcase something. And to their, you know, credit, a lot of this stuff is dope, man. I'm, you know, not trying to take anything from that, but if you get caught up in having the latest and greatest, newest sound, you're going down the wrong path. Absolutely. you know?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'm really fiending for, obviously, as I've been saying, is the sampler, like some kind of
Right.
sampler, or but I could get multiple samplers. Like
Yeah.
I almost want to get like one, because there's like the Morphogene, there's the Mimeophone, there's the Intuos something, or Anchor, or Arbor, I think it is. There's like, I could also use Clouds to do some interesting things. You know, there's so many samplers out there, but it's like I almost want to get one and use it to its fullest potential till I get tired of it, then sell that and get the other one that I wanted to try, and I don't know, maybe that's a good way to go. I have a feeling that I won't get rid of the one, though. I'll probably want to have both of them, but it's hard to make these decisions, and it's hard to know when to stop, for sure.
Yeah. It is. And, you know, and I want to just kind of, touch on people that are just getting started. Like if you're just getting started, of course, there's things you need to buy. There's no, you can't take away from that. But I think what we're trying to discuss here is just making sure, like, you're not getting caught up in the whole cycle of buying something to make something. That's a whole, I've been there, and that's a horrible cycle to be in. Like, like buying something to make something is horrible. It's just all bad. It's all bad. And I've been there. So that's my thing,
Well, yeah, and the thing is you can always like check yourself too, like, because again, with the Why We Bleep podcast, there was one person who was like, I've known a lot of musicians who have accomplished some pretty cool things, and they've made albums, they've done stuff, and then they got into modular, and and I haven't seen them actually make music for months because they're steeped in this modular thing. And it's like, that's where I have to check myself. Like, I haven't made my first beat yet from my own modular system. That needs to change this week. Like, I can't keep going this way.
I wanted to highlight this comment, Lifted Noise in the house right now, right?
Oh,
So he says, my setup is definitely minimal, but if you put everything I ever owned in a room, it would most likely fill up your space. Will. So he's talking to Will, but it's a great point because it's a journey, man, and we do buy stuff over time, right? We buy things, we accumulate things. And I think our point here is just to keep you from buying unnecessary stuff, right? So Lifted Noise says his setup is minimal right now. Like, he's using minimal stuff right now. And, perhaps anybody watching this, like, what you have is enough. Like, you don't need to go out and buy something new. Just like focus on what you have and just, learn to use what you have. Right. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, I'm curious what, I don't know, like, do you feel like, I don't know, like, where do you feel like you stand in all this stuff? Like, do you feel like you're satisfied with your, the music you make or the output, or, maybe you are, you could be, I put out stuff all the time.
Yeah, you're way more prolific than I am right now, which is my hat goes off to you, man, because you're a monster, man, when it comes to making stuff. I'm definitely not in a gear buying cycle right now. Like, and that's kind of why we wanted to talk about this, because you are in a gear buying cycle and I'm not. so the contrast there is kind of like what we wanted to highlight. And, I think for me right now, where I'm at is just learning to be better at what I have and what I use and the things I own, and diving in. And I know you're already about that life. Like, even though you're in a cycle where you're buying new stuff, you've always been the type of person that, you learn what you have, and so it's kind of a something I wanted to highlight because, you know, man, it's easy to get caught up in buying stuff, and so yeah, so that's the thing for me right now. It's just I just want to be a better, musician. I want to be better at expressing myself musically than buying something, So
Yeah, and you're doing the things that lead to that, and I mean I already think you're pretty good, but like pretty awesome at it. But you know, it's like, we talk behind the scenes and you're like, I can see like how fulfilled you are with just going home and just playing that guitar all night, like, and that's what you do and you love
yeah,
it, and that's what, and then once in a while I hear something that has drums on it too on your Instagram, which is cool too.
yeah,
um
yeah,
but it doesn't seem like you're like yearning, like I haven't done this thing and I'm just like procrastinate. Like I feel like you're doing the thing you want to do with music.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, it feels good to be in this place right here. Just being better at being creative, it does feel good because, again, I've been caught up in the whole cycle of buying the latest and the greatest, even to show off on like Instagram, oh man, I got this new, module, and to show that and get those views. People want to see, people love gear. People love, the latest thing. And I get it. But I've been caught up in that, like buying this. I remember specifically, I bought the Roland boutique modules, the boutique synths when they came out with their classic synthesizer from back in the day. I bought all three of those joints at one time. So I think that was like, I want to say it was probably, I spent a good amount of money on those, but when they showed up from Sweetwater, I videotaped me unboxing them, and people were like, wow, people loved it, but there's a clear difference of where I'm at now back then, because it was all about like unboxing that and showing that on Instagram, and like being the person to like kind of one of the few first people to kind of showcase those Roland boutique synthesizers. So my mindset is completely in a different place. But I will say this: when I did that, I still considered myself like this person that was like, making music. I wanted to be a creative person, but I do, in hindsight right now, I realized at the time I was caught up in buying things and, just kind of showcasing the latest and the greatest, on my level, so.
I mean, I just got Zero Control yesterday, and I mean, my Instagram post might as well have been like at the end, buy this here at reverb.com or Sweetwater or whatever for only whatever 99, like it was basically a commercial for Make Noise Control, Zero Control. But at the same time, I was excited. I've been waiting for this thing for a while, and I don't care. I don't mind. I don't even mind trying to sell stuff for people or whatever. Like a lot of these, especially with the modular stuff, a lot of these companies are just one person shows, not Make Noise, but some other ones are, so it's like it's really helping to support, somebody who's putting their passion into something really cool.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's worthwhile, I feel like. But so you just got to check yourself. What are your goals? Are you hitting them, or are you getting caught up in gear?
Yeah. I wanted to highlight this real quick. EJB said this show is dangerous for me. It's making me want to fire up some of my gear. No, that's what we want you to do. We want you
That's
to
exactly what I'm doing.
and like get creative, baby. Get creative. So man, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to kind of touch on, but that's really what I wanted to speak upon. in this episode. So do you have anything else you wanted to say, or?
I think I got to most of my points. The only one I didn't mention, and you know, this one hasn't really worked that well for me, but kind of like accountability. I guess it kind of has. You know, like when I was doing the comics, just the fact that I was doing 100 days of making comics and
Yeah.
doing a video for each day.
Yep.
You know, there is that accountability where it's like, hey, you haven't posted a video in 5 days. What happened? And it's like, I fell out. I have to try it again. You know, but
Yeah.
you know, so there is an accountability factor, and I don't know, like if that's something that will help you. I've known that it has helped people in the past, so that might be something. If you're struggling with this, that might help you. Maybe you have a friend, or hey, even your husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend, like, you know, maybe they're like, they keep seeing you buying gear. Sometimes there's an automatic accountability partner that, you know, they might see you buying all this stuff and they're like, I haven't heard you
Yeah.
make a song anytime recently. Like,
Yeah.
cool thing.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was kind of touching on as well. Like, stay surrounded with people that are actually being prolific and that are doing something. It kind of touches on what you're saying right now. It's like that accountability, like, you know, people that are being creative, like they're not talking about gear. They're not talking about, oh, I bought this or I bought that. You know, they're talking about, you know, I use this sample, or like check out how I laid down my drums. Check out this cadence. Check out these, you know, the way I did the snare here. They're not talking about, hey, yo, go buy this drum kit, you know, or go buy this, you know, this module. You know what I mean? They're talking about like the process, you know, the process. Like, man, I compressed my drums here, you know, or I did this, I added, you know, this here, or blah, blah, blah. They're talking about the process. You know what I mean? So staying connected with people that are actually making music is huge.
Totally. And I mean, from what you said about that, like enjoying the process, I think that's a huge part of the game. I'm trying to find it, but Will said something here that is just like that. I like this right here. For me, the journey is the treasure, but I will never count out a bag of gold at the end, which I totally agree with. I'm exactly right there.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Man, with that, I guess we're going to end this episode. I have been Upright. And my man Plex, Marsh Makes. So tell them a little bit where they can find you at, my man. Where are you at socially?
Well, there are links.
We're obviously here on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube under Beat Brothers. If you see somebody commenting under the name Beat Brothers, it's probably me. I usually try to write Plex or whatever, but you know, Instagram, Marsh Makes, you can see it right down here. And then also there's links in the description for both my sites and Bryce's Instagram. Upright Music, right there.
Yeah,
right there. You know, check out upright.music on Instagram for him too.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So with that, guys, we are gonna let you guys go. And man, this has been a great episode, Plex. So happy we were able to chop this up, and I know this is something we've been wanting to talk about for a while. Also, to everybody viewing right now, we have more content coming for you guys. I know Plex has some videos in store. I also have some videos in store for the channel. So, man, just stay tuned, and we'll be back next week, a week from now, next Sunday. We'll be back for another one of these live streams as well. So thanks to everybody that tuned in. Thanks for everybody that's watching. Like, subscribe, leave us dirty, nasty comments if you want. If you want to do that, hate on us, do all that. You know, do everything. Thumbs down.
Helps us.
Yeah. Leave it all. You know, do everything. But for now, we're out of here. We will see you guys next week. Look out for some more content during the week. And that's it. Plex, you got anything you want to add?
Just shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody watching, like you said. And also shout out to Instagram, who's been hanging out with us too. So